Hello and welcome to this HR Fundamentals workshop delivered on behalf of Staffordshire Succeed and Grow offer. I'm Rebecca from RBMA Consultancy, and I'm going to be talking you through today some of the fundamentals of HR human resource management. So I'll just share the slides. This presentation covers the current UK government guidance on human resources good practice for small businesses, and we'll explore the key areas of recruitment and retention, contracts and pay, and employee relations. We would like to thank Staffordshire County Council Succeed and Grow scheme for funding this presentation today. In this presentation, we will examine the current good practices recommended by UK Government for small businesses. We'll cover key areas of recruitment and selection, contracts and pay, employee relations, and the various policies and procedures that small businesses need to be aware of. Recruiting and selecting the right candidate is crucial to the success of any small business. We'll explore good practice for creating job descriptions. But first, let's consider the journey your employee will take with you. First and foremost, you've got to attract your employees. And you might want to consider your branding, advertising, selection process, and if you work with children or vulnerable adults, what safer recruitment practices you need to have in place. You need to think about onboarding, the induction process, probation period, and how you're going to gather the views of those new employees once they join your organisation. We're going to think about retention and having an open door policy, what mentoring might look like, and performance management in your organisation. What continuous professional development might you put in place? And how will you engage with your employees? Do you offer flexible working? This is now a legal right. We'll think about growth and that investment in continuous professional development to maintain your staff. We'll think about career progression and what to do when somebody decides it's time to leave. Having processes in place, such as an exit interview or survey, can really help you to learn from an employee as they move on. Job descriptions are a critical tool for communicating responsibilities and expectations of a role, and we'll examine the current guidance on how to write an effective job description. Some things to consider: mapping out your business needs and ensuring that job descriptions are fit for the process to achieve this. Think about your company brand. Think about that communication. Thinking about employee referral program. Do you have other organisations you work with who might want to make recommendations? Thinking about applicant tracking. Saving time and increasing communication. Think about the data you might need to hold or you might need to know in the application process. Do you use social media platforms to attract talent? How do you know you're utilising the right platform to attract the right people? Well, think about interviewing techniques. And interviewing candidates is an essential part of the recruitment process. And we'll have a think about recommended techniques for conducting effective interviews that identify the best candidate for the job. Once you've decided who you would like to employ, Creating clear employment contracts and adhering to pay guidelines are critical aspects of good HR practice for small businesses. We'll explore the current guidance on creating employment contracts and minimum wage and holiday pay requirements. The UK government has set minimum wage and pay requirements that all small businesses must comply with. We'll explore the current guidance on how to calculate and pay the minimum wage and holiday pay. These ensure that if you're listening to this at a later date than March 2025, some of this information may have been updated on the gov.uk website. We'll think about employee relations and how to manage positive employee relationships and how essential that is for a healthy and productive workplace. We're looking at guidance on creating disciplinary procedures for when things go wrong and handling grievances and supporting employees' mental health and well-being. Disciplinary procedures outline the steps that employees should take when an employee does not meet the expected standards of behaviour or performance. Grievances are concerns raised by employees about their work, working conditions, or relationships with colleagues. We're hoping that the information in the presentation today will help you to avoid getting into any of these. But we will explore current guidance on managing grievances and how to create an effective grievance policy so that you have the processes in place should things go wrong. Good HR practices are critical to the success of any small business. By following the government guidance on recruitment and selection, contracts and pay, employee relations, small businesses can create healthy and productive work environments that support both employees and the business. So let's look at the detail. This presentation will examine good practice guidance. We'll focus on recruitment selection, contracts and pay, employee relations and policy and procedures. So let's think about recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection are critical practices for small businesses. To attract and hire the best employees, you need to create accurate and detailed job descriptions using effective interview techniques and conducting background checks to ensure that your candidate's work history and ensure they don't have a criminal record. Or perhaps you're an investor employee and this is not going to be a hurdle, but you do want to know your employee's journey to date. In a job application pack, you should include the advert and job description. You should, in your advert, name your organisation, your job role, your working hours, your main duties, the extent of any regulated activity that might need a criminal record check, what the pay is and the scale, where the employee will be expected to work, and what checks will be carried out. You should also give a clear closing date so that applicants that are thinking about applying for a vacancy with your organisation know when the cut-off is. When you're shortlisting for recruitment, ensure that you keep your application form and get your employee to sign that, the potential employee to sign that to confirm that the information on it is correct. Ensure that you gain references from at least two of your previous employees' employment so that you can research what they've done in previous roles and what their experience might be. When you are shortlisting, ensure that you are cross-referencing the application form against the job description or the person's specification for the role. When it comes to questioning why you didn't employ somebody, this will be really useful feedback. It's good practice to have at least two people, shortlist, and on an interview panel, and to keep interview notes and a scoring system that's fair across all candidates. Paperwork for interview processes should be stored in line with GDPR. Job descriptions are a critical tool for communicating the responsibilities and expectations of a role. They help organisations align their employees' work with the business goals and objectives and provide a framework for evaluating employee performance. To write effective job descriptions for a small business, focus on creating clear, concise, and specific descriptions that accurately reflect the job duties and requirements, and avoid using discriminatory language or criteria. What information would you find useful in a job description? Think about the information you're putting on your website. Is that easy for candidates to navigate? What would you want to know about your organisation if you were applying for a role? And where can you find this on your website or recruitment platform? Where do you advertise? And is this working? And would you apply to your organisation? Once you've decided the candidates that you would like to interview, you need to prepare for an effective interview process. Using effective interviewing techniques can help small businesses identify who's the most qualified candidate, but also who's best fit for your organisation. Effective interviewing requires preparation, questioning techniques that involve asking open-ended questions. Avoid leading questions and use follow-up questions to gather more information. In an interview process, you need to be an active listener, which involves focusing on the candidate's response. Ask clarifying questions and provide feedback. The three A's of active listening are attention, attitude, and adjustment. Be fully present and tuned in to the speaker's words and gestures. Attitude: have a positive attitude, be open-minded, and maintain eye contact. Adjustment: notice those non-verbal clues. Ask open questions. Change your gestures, body language, and reactions as the conversation unfolds. Mirroring and summarising what your candidate has said will make them feel heard and understood. And try to withhold judgment or advice. When preparing interviews, ensure that your interview questions are the same for all candidates. Practice note taking. If there are two of you on the panel, maybe one person ask a question and the other take the notes. Know your candidate. Pick up areas of interest in case the interview is not going well. It's good practice to use the same rating system for all candidates. Don't forget to ask your candidate if they have any questions for you and be ready to answer them. Contracts and pay. Once you've decided the candidate that you're going to take forward as your new employee, you'll need to put in place a contract of employment and details of the pay. These are essential HR practices that ensure that employees are fairly compensated for their work. Employment contracts are critical for small businesses to establish expectations with their employees. You must adhere to minimum wage and holiday pay requirements. They must meet and fulfill specific legal requirements to be valid and enforceable. These requirements vary by jurisdiction, and it's essential to understand the laws that govern the employment contracts in your area of work. Employment contracts can be used to protect the employer's interests, specifying the terms and conditions of employment, such as hours of work, compensation, and benefits. They also can be used to protect the employee's interests by specifying terms such as job responsibilities, non-disclosure agreements, and severance pay. As part of the Succeed and Grow support offer, KMC Legal have provided a detailed HR law session that will cover the key elements that are required in employment contracts. The UK government has a set minimum wage that all businesses must comply with. Employers must ensure that they pay their employees at least the minimum wage check rate. Check gov.uk for the latest figures. These are as of March 2025. All workers in the UK are currently entitled to a minimum of 5.6 weeks paid holiday per year. Employers must ensure that they pay their employees for their holiday entitlement, which is based on their normal working hours. Once you have your employee in place, it's essential that you create fair and consistent procedures to maintain positive working relationships. It's important that you create fair and consistent processes for maintaining positive employee relationships and a healthy workplace culture. Handling employees' information is key to maintaining positive employee relationships. A welcome pack with essential information can form part of a really good induction process. An introduction to key contacts. First day order orientation, finding your way around. Maybe a tour of the workplace. An introduction to team members. In consideration of a buddy system. It's important to give your new employee an overview of the organisation's structure and policies, and any role-specific training. Any training on necessary tools and systems, and any PPE requirements, personal protective equipment that is needed for the role that they're going to undertake. Continue this with ongoing support and feedback and regular checkups with a mentor or supervisor. Keep the process two-way with continuous feedback and support. Workforce planning is all about retaining and recruiting talent. By understanding your context and its environment and the demographics within the people within it, your future needs, gaps, and taking action, you'll be able to ensure that you have a clear competency framework. Ensuring that you have what is needed, the skills, knowledge, and attributes to carry out the role effectively from your employee. Talk to the existing team who already do this role to get their viewpoint on responsibilities and ensure that this informs the communication of the job role. Thinking about your current professional development review document, are, are the following included? Is there an opportunity for colleagues to comment on targets? Does your current documentation include an area to discuss people's strengths, focusing on the positives? Do you have scheduled one-to-one meetings? Do you have regularly scheduled meetings to discuss progress and challenges and goals? What about an open door policy that encourages employees to approach management with concerns and suggestions at any time? How about 360-degree feedback? Feedback from peers, subordinates, and supervisors can get a comprehensive view of performance. And actionable feedback. Provide your employee with specific, constructive, and actionable feedback as they journey with you, and create personalised development plans to support career growth. As part of your professional dialogue with colleagues, requests for flexible working may be discussed. And in April 2024, flexible working can be requested from day one of employment, and 2 requests per year can be made instead of 1. Flexible working can be part-time work, job sharing, compressed hours, remote working, staggered hours, and flexible retirement. We're not saying your business has to bend over backwards to accommodate employee rights to flexible working, but you should know what rights your employees have when it comes to this. Implementing flexible and hybrid working can offer several benefits. It can improve work-life balance and help staff manage personal and professional responsibilities. It can increase job satisfaction and enhance morale. It can enhance productivity. Staff may be more productive in environments that suit them, or may log on at a time that they'd normally be travelling if they work at a desk and a computer. There may be cost savings of reducing the need for physical space and resources, and you might be able to attract a diverse range of candidates. Ensure that you develop a policy outlining the terms and conditions of flexible working, and include details on eligibility, the application process, and review procedures. Ensure that you provide training and support for staff and leaders on managing remote teams and using digital tools, and offer ongoing support and resources. You could pilot a programme, have a test, and see how flexible working arrangements work for you. Monitoring and reviewing is essential. Regularly assessing the effectiveness of flexible working arrangements. This enables you to gather feedback and make necessary adjustments. Flexible retirement allows employees to reduce their working hours or responsibilities as they approach retirement, enabling a smoother transition. The aspects can include phased retirement, gradually reducing work hours or responsibilities over time, partial retirement, drawing a part of a pension whilst continuing to work part-time, job sharing, sharing a full-time position with another employee. Develop a section in your flexible working policy and outline the eligibility. Communicate openly and create transition plans. This will support well-being, and remember, monitor and adjust so that you can learn from the process as you move along. Sometimes things go wrong, and grievances are complaints or concerns that raised by employees about their working conditions, or relationships with colleagues. Effective management of grievances involves creating a clear and transparent grievance policy, promptly investigating and resolving grievances, and providing support to employees throughout the process. Disciplinary procedures are important to ensure that employees meet expected standards of behaviour and performance. To create effective disciplinary procedures, employers must follow legal requirements and provide clear expectations and consequences. KMC Legal has covered this as part of the Succeed and Grow offer. When an employee decides to leave, ensure that you have in place a process to retrieve equipment and to allow the opportunity for discussion. This is an opportunity to learn and improve employee relationships. So encourage your leavers to share with you why they have decided to move on and any suggestions they have for you to improve working processes and employee-employer relations. Offboarding often receives less attention than onboarding, but it is equally important as it directly impacts reputation, employee morale, and even future business success. Proper offboarding ensures a smooth transition for departing employees, maintaining positive relationships and leaving a lasting impression of professionalism. Exit interviews and gathering feedback from departing employees can gain valuable insights into areas for improvement and potential retention strategies. Additionally, offboarding includes crucial steps such as knowledge transfer, security protocols, and ensuring a positive departure experience. Neglecting this process can lead to negative repercussions, such as loss of valuable knowledge, decreased employee engagement among remaining staff, and potential damage to company culture. Investing time and resources in offboarding is essential for creating a positive work environment and sustaining long-term organisation success. Good HR practices are critical to the success of small businesses, and they include recruitment and selection, contracts and pay, employee relations, among others. Recruitment and selection are important HR practices that involve attracting, hiring, and retaining the best employees for a small business. Those contracts and pay details ensure that employees are fully compensated for their work. Employee relations are important HR practices that involve managing the relationship between the small business and its employees. Thank you for listening to this presentation today. Please do complete the feedback form, and should you have any questions, please do submit these via rbmaforum.co.uk. We would like to thank Staffordshire County Council Succeed and Grow for their support today.